In the early 20th century, the industrialized world shared a potent collective belief. Human engineering had finally conquered nature. Steel and steam were pushing past the ancient limits of the physical world. The White Star Line's newest flagship was designed to be the ultimate physical proof of that conquest. Its builders and marketers confidently branded it the Unsinkable giant. 4 days into its maiden voyage, that absolute certainty collapsed. The greatest maritime engineering feat of the age sank to the bottom of the North Atlantic. The immediate explanation, a collision with a massive iceberg, only answers part of the question. We have to ask how floating ice could completely destroy a machine explicitly designed to survive catastrophic hull damage. The sinking was a systemic collapse. It required 3 distinct points of failure: compromised structural engineering, reckless operational procedure, and deeply outdated maritime laws. Looking at this diagram, the hull was divided into 16 watertight compartments, but the bulkheads didn't reach the top, capped low for luxury decks. As the breached bow sank, water spilled directly over the bulkheads into the next compartment, like an overflowing tray. By prioritizing aesthetic luxury over defensive structural integrity, the internal architecture doomed the ship long before it ever left port. That structural flaw was compounded by the actions of the crew on April 14th. Their operational decisions were governed entirely by the belief that the vessel was invincible. Throughout the day, radio operators received multiple distinct warnings about heavy sea ice from other vessels. These messages were sidelined to prioritize transmitting a backlog of personal telegrams for wealthy passengers. Despite entering an ice field, the staff maintained a near-top speed of 22 knots. Their highly publicized New York arrival took precedence over environmental caution. Compounding the speed, the lookouts stationed high in the crow's nest were operating without binoculars. On a flat, moonless night, they were forced to rely on the naked eye to spot dark icebergs against a pitch-black ocean. Superior structural technology offers zero protection if the human operators actively ignore environmental reality in favor of hubris. When the evacuation order was finally given, the passengers and crew faced a brutal mathematical reality. There were roughly 2,200 people on board, and only enough lifeboats for 1,100. This chart graphs the era's safety laws. Required lifeboats were calculated against a ship's internal volume, flatlining for vessels over 10,000 tons. The 46,000-ton Titanic legally complied, but as this new line shows, that maximum sat drastically below its actual passenger capacity. This legal compliance resulted in hundreds freezing in the North Atlantic, watching their ship disappear while half-empty lifeboats drifted nearby. The rapid scale of industrial engineering had completely outpaced the government regulations meant to keep people safe. In the immediate aftermath, tribunals in both Washington and London scrambled to dissect the disaster. They needed to understand how a system they considered perfect had failed so completely. The findings forced the creation of the first Safety of Life at Sea Treaty, a comprehensive overhaul of maritime law that still governs international shipping today. The treaty mandated immediate global changes. Ships were now required to carry a lifeboat seat for every single soul on board, maintain 24-hour continuous radio watches, and fund an international ice patrol to track hazardous drift routes. The rescue ship Carpathia arrived in New York Harbor carrying only 700 traumatized survivors. The absolute technological optimism that defined the Gilded Age sank alongside the ship. Unsinkable was revealed to be nothing more than a marketing myth. The Titanic proved that whenever immense human ambition collides with the unforgiving physical realities of nature, nature will always win.